Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Unscripted conference. I'm here to talk about harness continuous verification. My name is Sid Choudhury, and I'm the VP of Product Management here at Harness. You must have seen the disclaimer slide already many times. I won't go into the details. A little bit about me. I'm a recent entrant to the Harness product team. I'm responsible for Harness continuous verification as well as the underlying platform that is common across all Harness products modules, including CI, CD, C, CF, and so on. I love building and scaling infrastructure software products and platforms. My entire career I've spent in infrastructure software companies like AppDynamics, Salesforce, and Oracle. So what will we be talking about today? It's a four-part agenda. First is, why do we even bother with continuous verification? Second, we'll look at how Harness CV solves that problem today. Third, and the core of this presentation, is reimagining Harness CV. Where do we take it from here? And finally, I'll end with a short demo. So the original challenge, and this challenge was something that led to the founding of Harness itself, was that as we do more deployments, and we want to do more deployments because we want to deliver software faster, if we do not change two things, which is manual verification of our deployments, whether those deployments are performant, are not leading to errors, and so on, as well as poor quality automation. We are always hard pressed for writing additional tests. We're always hard pressed for integrating those tests to the right stages of our pipeline. If we continue to stick to manual verification and poor quality automation, then we know what the outcome is. We have been through this. There will be high mean time to resolution because we cannot roll back our poor software. There will be low revenue because our users will get impacted. They will see erroneous pages and erroneous interactions. And all of this will lead to us as software engineering teams getting exhausted and tired. Not a fun place to be. And that's why Harness CB was created. It is all about deploying, at the fastest velocity, then verifying those changes against your existing monitoring and log providers, whether they be the likes of infrastructure monitoring from Datadog or application performance monitoring from AppDynamics, and using unsupervised machine learning to understand the anomalies and the outliers and the risk of our deployments, and then giving you the power to auto roll back when those risks are have crossed a certain threshold. That's how Harness CB has been functioning for a long period of time. Users have been very happy. They have been able to de-risk their deployments, do more and more deployments, and hence deliver software faster. Natural question, is verifying deployments enough? Let's take a look. What is our software stack? Our software is certainly the applications that we write. We decompose them into microservices. We write the business logic in those applications. But our software also has a very important component, is the underlying infrastructure on which these applications run. And that infrastructure over the last 5 to 10 years has been getting increasingly complex with the advent of the three major cloud providers, as well as Kubernetes as a single source, a single infrastructure operating system that is common across all cloud platforms. So in this world, our application deployments are getting protected by Harness CV. Excellent. What about our infrastructure changes? There are planned changes, like we upgrade in our Kubernetes version. We add nodes to our Kubernetes cluster. These are planned changes. There are unplanned changes happening on our infrastructure. Our pods are constantly getting rescheduled from one node to another, right? We may have outages in external systems, like our DB may have an outage, right? So there are unplanned changes happening on top of our infrastructure. Who is protecting them? How are we correlating them with our deployments? So this problem is an unsolved problem. Now, is this an important problem? Absolutely it is. Infrastructure changes historically has had a very high cost, and there are plenty of examples in the industry where a single server configuration change has led to complete outage of some of the web scale giants that today power our economies, right? So it is an important problem to solve. So I would like to introduce you to Harness CV Next Generation, which is all about continuous verification of not just deployments, but also your infrastructure changes. All of it powered by the same AI ops technology that you have come to love. So what does this actually mean? Let's take it to the next level of detail. First is the auto capture of various deployment activities that are obviously happening in Harness, as well as other continuous delivery solutions. So we are expanding the purview of CV by bringing in other continuous delivery solutions, including Jenkins, GitLab, Spinnaker, and so on. Secondly, it's the auto discovery and auto capture of change events, infrastructure change events that are happening on your Kubernetes cluster, as well as being orchestrated through other config management systems onto your infrastructure. Those two are our primary sources of change activities. Then comes the auto capture of your metric and log information that is corresponding to those services that are impacted by the activities that we brought in. We bring that metric and log information because we want to verify the risk of those activities. Okay, and finally, we would like to annotate the service information with additional detail from other authoritative sources like your CMDB. So the end result is a unified service model inside Harness CV that is continuously being touched on or being enhanced through all these activities that are happening in your systems. And Harness CV is continuously watching them for their risk profile. Now, those risks are then communicated out in the form of automation, which is auto rollback, manual rollback, as well as alerts through various notification channels. How exactly it works? Well, the way it works is the same brain that we have had in Harness CV, now becoming more intelligent to learn about not just deployments, but also various kinds of system changes, and correlate those system changes with the changes in the monitoring and log data that is being captured in your existing providers, continuously using the machine learning algorithms to understand what is a true anomaly versus what is something that can be ignored, and using those to score the risk of every activity and the risk of every service. The end result is you can roll back if the scores are high, the risks are high, or you can alert if the risks haven't crossed that particular threshold. Okay? Very important to ensure that you are able to move faster than ever before. Let's take some concrete examples. Pre-production deployment verification. So you have code is being continuously transformed into artifacts, and as soon as an artifact is created, we go through lots of different kinds of testing: unit testing, integration testing, smoke testing. These are all functional and load tests that are happening, and these tests also lead to metric and log data being fed to your monitoring providers. Harness CV looks at that data and allows you to calculate the risk associated with these tests. We don't stop there. We continue after this pre-production testing phase. We go into production and post-production deployment verifications, which is where Harness CV has traditionally been deeply integrated with Harness CD, but now this capability is available to any kind of CD solution that you use, where you are able to clearly see that your build 77 has a canary phase 1, which is green. That means it succeeded. But phase 2 is high risk, and as a result, it auto rolls back. You have a separate build that is going through blue-green, and blue-green phase 1 and phase 2 were all fine. So production deployment actually succeeded. But post-deployment, you were watching the services health, and you realize that they are going bad. So as a result, now you roll back to the previous successful build. All of this is happening automatically. Last but not the least is the system change verifications. And this is where, let's take Kubernetes as an example. It is a complex infrastructure in its own right. It requires its own upkeep and maintenance. There are changes happening in the Kubernetes cluster by a Kubernetes administrator. There are changes that Kubernetes automatically does to make sure your containerized workloads and services are performing with the declarative intent that was provided to it. So as a result, various actions are being performed on that cluster. Pods are getting restarted, versions are getting updated, new nodes are potentially being added, services are being scaled up or scaled down. So watching all these activities automatically and then taking corrective action when something goes wrong without you necessarily waking up at 3 a.m. is something that is very powerful, especially especially when it is done in correlation with your deployments. So the end result is that as a software organization, you can change faster than ever before. And the only constant in the world today is actually change, because we want to move faster. We want to deliver value to our users faster than ever before, right? So this is the new continuous verification dashboard. And let me walk you through what you see here. At the top is the overall risk of various services aggregated together that Harness CV is watching. Now, we can see that this overall score is for the production environment, and it includes a bunch of services, and each service has its own risk score, right? And I can drill into each of these services and we'll see the service level view, right? Then these risks are being computed because there are various activities that are happening on these services. Now, what are those activities? The first classification is the deployment activities, the same ability that we have had before. Each service is going through its own deployments, and there is a list of there. Simultaneously, also there is the ability to view infrastructure level changes that are impacting one or more services that are essentially running on that infrastructure. Let's dive deeper into a single build, let's say. So in this build 77 right now is going through production deployment. It has 12 minutes remaining. It is in progress. What's happening? Why is it red? Okay, we go in, we see that this production deployment is actually a canary of 3 phases, in which in the phase 1, I updated 2 nodes of this 18 node cluster. In the second one, I had updated 4 nodes. Everything was fine till then. And in the third one, I updated 6 nodes. And that's when things started going wrong. And I can see that of my 6 nodes, 3 nodes seem to be doing fine. But one of them here is anomalous. And when I click on it, I see the anomalous metrics and the anomalous logs that have led to this node in the canary misbehaving. Okay. That was for a production deployment in progress. How about a post deployment verification? So here I see that build 76 has completed. So let me go in and see. So the good thing is everything looks green. I can see that it went through a couple of canary phases, and finally it was deployed. A bunch of infrastructure changes have happened since then, but nothing anomalous is being viewed. So this is looking all good for us. Excellent. Let's go back to the dashboard. So we saw, production deployments and post deployments. We can also see the impact of infrastructure update. So here is an infrastructure update that is in progress. I go in and I see that 2 hours before change, things were looking like this, and these are the logs. And after I did the infrastructure update, it's still in progress. I am starting to see, things are starting to change. So I can keep an eye on it and see whether this infrastructure update will lead to, my metrics and logs stabilizing to the way they were before, or things start going, bad. And that too, while I'm starting to do deployments for one or more services. Powerful way to correlate common infrastructure changes with individual service deployments. I can see the actual infrastructure change that led to this particular verification being triggered. It can be a Kubernetes cluster being scaled down or scaled up, or it can be even an individual service being scaled up or scaled down. All these are valid infrastructure changes. I can see all these activities that we saw only the recent activities on the main dashboard, but there is a nice activity view in front of me where I can see all the activities that have happened over months with a view around their success and failure. So if I see a lot of initially I was doing a lot of red activities, and then more recently I have been doing more green activities, then I know that I as a company, not only I'm doing more changes to my infrastructure and I'm deploying more, I'm also making sure that those changes are completely de-risked and have a low risk score. Okay, so now let's take a look at the services view. So this is the aggregate of services across all environments. Like there is an environment prod east and there is a prod west, and the overall score is this across, and at every screen you will see that it's correlated with the activities that are happening. And here is the risk, performance risk, error risk, infrastructure risk, business risk, and so on. I can drill into each individual service, and this entire screen will get filtered by that particular service's point of view. Okay, and finally, I can see the analytics associated with these activities that are happening and the impact of those activities on my services. So I can see that I'm having these many activities per day. Of those activities, 16 of them are failing, and the activities have various types. So I can see what kind of activities my software stack is going through. I can see for each individual service what has been my how many deployments I have done, how many very successful verifications I have done, what is the failure rate. So it gives me a bird's eye view into which are my healthy services that are going through a lot of changes but still coming out strong, and which of my services are getting weak, and before I push more deployments. Let's make sure that I have done everything. I've plugged in harness CV into those things for measurement of risk. So with that, I have reached the end of my demo. Thank you so much for attending this session. We are actively taking beta signups for Harness CV, so please reach out to us if you are interested in participating in our beta. Thank you, and see you again.